In April 1912, the RMS Titanic, the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, set sail on its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York. Dubbed unsinkable, the Titanic symbolized human engineering prowess and technological confidence. At 882 feet long, weighing approximately 46,000 tons and equipped to carry more than 2,200 passengers and crew, it was a marvel of the era. The ship boasted lavish interiors, grand staircases, opulent dining halls, and state-of-the-art facilities. People from all walks of life, from the wealthiest elite to ordinary immigrants seeking a new life in America, filled its decks with hope and excitement. Yet beneath this grandeur lay vulnerabilities that would prove fatal. On the night of April 14th, as Titanic sailed through the icy waters of the North Atlantic, it collided with a massive iceberg. While popular imagination often pins the disaster solely on this collision, the truth is far more complex. The iceberg was only the immediate trigger. A series of critical mistakes and design flaws accelerated the sinking, turning a dangerous situation into a catastrophic one. Titanic's design included watertight compartments intended to contain flooding and prevent sinking. These compartments, separated by bulkheads, were hailed as a revolutionary safety feature. However, there was a fatal oversight. The bulkheads did not extend all the way to the top deck. When the iceberg tore open the hull, water began to flood the first compartments and then spilled over the top into subsequent sections. This sequential flooding compromised the ship's buoyancy much faster than anticipated. If the watertight compartments had extended fully, Titanic might have stayed afloat long enough for a much more effective evacuation, saving hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. Human error compounded the disaster. Captain Edward Smith, a seasoned seafarer, had received multiple iceberg warnings from nearby ships. Telegraphs and messages detailing ice hazards were sent directly to the bridge, yet Smith did not reduce speed. The Titanic continued at near maximum speed, about 22 knots, despite the clear risk. At the time, ship captains were often under pressure to maintain schedules, and a sense of pride and confidence in Titanic's unsinkable reputation likely influenced Smith's decision. The fatal combination of overconfidence, high speed, and icy waters proved disastrous. Another critical factor was the insufficient number of lifeboats. Titanic carried only 20 lifeboats, capable of accommodating just 1,178 passengers, far fewer than the total number of passengers and crew on board. At that time, maritime regulations only required ships to have lifeboats based on tonnage rather than passenger capacity. Compounding this, crew members had not received adequate lifeboat drills, and many passengers assumed that the Titanic could not sink. When the iceberg struck, this lack of preparation created chaos. Lifeboats were launched partially empty, and many passengers were left struggling to survive in the freezing North Atlantic waters. The lack of organization and clear evacuation procedures tragically amplified the death toll. The structural weaknesses of the ship also played a crucial role. Titanic's hull was constructed with steel plates held together by iron and steel rivets. Engineering analysis of the wreckage suggests that the quality of these rivets varied, particularly in areas that experienced the greatest stress during the iceberg collision. Some rivets failed, causing hull plates to separate and allowing water to flood rapidly into multiple compartments. Once 6 compartments were breached, the ship's bow began to sink, and the stern was lifted into the air. Eventually, the ship split in two as it descended beneath the waves. Experts estimate that had only 4 compartments been compromised, Titanic might have stayed afloat long enough for a much more effective evacuation, saving hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. Small human mistakes further contributed to the disaster. The lookouts in the crow's nest did not have binoculars, The key responsible officer had left them locked in a storage locker. This lack of proper equipment delayed the sighting of the iceberg until it was almost too late. Moreover, communication errors among the crew and inadequate training in emergency protocols created confusion during the evacuation. Many passengers were unaware of the urgency or the correct lifeboat procedure. These seemingly minor oversights, when combined with design flaws and high speed, created a deadly chain reaction. The Titanic tragedy also revealed shortcomings in maritime regulations. At the time, there were no international standards ensuring that passenger ships had enough lifeboats for everyone on board. Iceberg tracking was limited, and ships did not coordinate effectively to warn others of ice hazards. The tragedy prompted sweeping changes in maritime safety. After Titanic sank, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was established, mandating that ships carry sufficient lifeboats for all passengers and crew, conduct regular lifeboat drills, and maintain improved iceberg detection and communication protocols. Modern shipbuilding also learned from Titanic's design flaws. Watertight compartments were extended higher, hull construction standards were strengthened, and emergency procedures became a core part of maritime training. The psychological aspect of the disaster should not be overlooked. Many passengers were lulled into a false sense of security by the Titanic's reputation. This overconfidence caused delays in evacuation, as some individuals refused to believe that the ship could truly sink. Crew members, too, were influenced by this mindset, adhering to outdated emergency procedures that assumed the ship would remain buoyant for hours. Panic, indecision, and disbelief amplified the human toll, showing that technological marvels alone cannot guarantee safety without preparation, vigilance, and humility. The Titanic tragedy demonstrates how multiple small mistakes can combine to create an enormous catastrophe. Design flaws, overconfidence, insufficient lifeboats, inadequate crew training, poor communication, and structural weaknesses all contributed to the rapid sinking of a ship that was once considered unsinkable. It was not the iceberg alone, but a combination of preventable human and engineering errors that led to the deaths of more than 1,500 people. Today, Titanic's story serves as a cautionary tale for engineers, leaders, and society at large. It reminds us that no matter how advanced or confident we feel in our technology or plans, ignoring warnings, underestimating risks, and failing to prepare can have devastating consequences. The legacy of Titanic lives on not just in museums and films, but in the safety standards and precautions now embedded in maritime travel worldwide. Its tale is a sobering reminder that vigilance, preparedness, and respect for nature's power are essential, and that even the mightiest creations are vulnerable to human error and unforeseen circumstances.